Once upon a moonless night, in a land swallowed by shadows and whispered secrets, loomed Castle Dracula. A fortress of stone and silence, cut off from the world by an impenetrable forest of ancient, twisted trees. The castle stood like a monstrous sentinel, its towers piercing the heavens as if challenging the gods themselves. A sense of foreboding hung heavily in the air. The villagers spoke only in hushed tones about the castle and its enigmatic master, Count Dracula, a being suspended between the realms of the living and the dead. In a quaint little village not too far from this ominous castle lived a young and intrepid man named Jonathan. With his heart thumping in anticipation, he told his dearest friend Lucy,
"I can't stand idly by while our village lives in fear. I must venture to that castle and discover the truth about Count Dracula."
Lucy's eyes widened like saucers, her voice tinged with worry as she responded,
"Jonathan, do you really think that's wise? Stories say he's a vampire, a creature of darkness."
Ignoring the tingling sensation of dread crawling up his spine, Jonathan resolutely said,
"I must know, Lucy. I have to put an end to this horror."
He prepared a bag filled with peculiar but essential items, cloves of pungent garlic, a sharpened wooden stake, and a tattered book that had the word vampires etched onto its ancient cover. When Jonathan approached the dark fortress, the gates swung open as though animated by an invisible hand. His heart felt like a drum beaten in a wild rhythm, but he gathered his courage and entered. Shadows clung to the stone walls, morphing into grotesque shapes that seemed to reach out for him as he made his way through the labyrinthine corridors. Finally, he reached a grand hall adorned with tapestries depicting scenes that made his skin crawl, monsters, and battles between darkness and light. At the far end of the hall sat Count Dracula, on a throne that looked as if it were made of bones.
"Welcome, young traveler, to my sanctuary."
Dracula sneered, his eyes glowing an unearthly red, like burning embers in the night. Swallowing hard, Jonathan stammered,
"I have come to find out why you haunt our village. Are you the one who terrorizes innocent lives?"
A malevolent smile curled on Dracula's lips, revealing fangs as sharp as daggers.
"What do you think, young man?"
Dracula stood and approached Jonathan slowly. At that moment, Jonathan's eyes fell upon a gilded mirror hanging on the wall. He gasped. Dracula had no reflection. Remembering the ancient lore, he realized the horrible truth. Summoning every ounce of his courage, Jonathan flung handfuls of garlic at the Count. Dracula hissed like a cornered serpent, recoiling in shock.
"What is this trickery?"
He spat, his voice laced with venom.
"It's your undoing."
Jonathan declared, taking out the wooden stake. Just as he was about to lunge, the doors burst open, and Lucy entered, her face flushed and desperate, holding a lantern high above her head.
"Jonathan, stop."
Lucy yelled. The flickering flame from the lantern made contact with Dracula's form. A guttural scream erupted from the Count's throat as he transformed into a plume of black smoke, scattering into the night. Tears of relief in her eyes, Lucy explained,
"It's sunlight, caught in a special lens. It's the one thing they can't withstand."
Working together, they located the hidden coffins where Dracula and his minions took their rest. They placed garlic and holy symbols in each one, ensuring that the Dark Count would never rise again. They returned to their village as heroes, the once pervasive fog of terror now lifted. Children played freely, and laughter replaced whispered fears. Jonathan and Lucy had shown that courage and friendship could defeat even the darkest of evils. So listen well, Children, for this tale teaches us that even when facing unimaginable horrors, bravery and unity can banish the shadows and bring light to darkness. And so, the village that once lived under the cloud of Count Dracula's malevolence found peace, sleeping safely under the quilt of the night sky. From that day forward, good had triumphed, and they all lived happily ever after.